Bitcoin and so on and so forth. So here we are, S&P. Note we got very close to that top of value for the week. Again, the week's not over, but we're down 47 basis points. Couple observations here to make that I want to kind of really stress a little bit this morning, because we got about 10 minutes to the open. So number one, we did drift into the value area for the week. We held up pretty well yesterday on the first attempt of it, but you could see we're starting to kind of move lower. And again, this has been the case now for a couple weeks, is that again, we're just not seeing participation in anything really other than a few areas. So it's not just tech. Tech, and when I say tech, that covers semis, which many of them reversed yesterday. But consumer discretionary has looked decent. Cyber names have looked decent as well. But if you move outside of that, yes, the participation we know has not been great. We still don't have a McClellan summation index crossover with its 10-day moving average. It's close, it could happen, but it's not. It certainly hasn't happened yet. So this is S&P, and if we stay below 4203, I would watch this 200 period moving average. Now, keep in mind with this 200 period moving average, it sliced through it last week, and it's kind of funny because, I think people forget about these things pretty quickly. But remember, we started the week higher in the beginning of the week last week too. And, then we had a little, I don't want to call it correction. We had a little bit of volatility, dip, maybe dip is the right term, but we had a dip in the middle of the week last week. Now, of course, that was recovered and then some. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get more volatility, now that we're several days past those NVIDIA results, as well as Marvell reports, which also showed good guidance. So that's this 200 period moving average is what I would really watch here, as well as 4203 to the upside. Also, NASDAQ futures, right? They're pretty. So I've drawn another one of these kind of abstract head and shoulders type patterns, right? I mean, this is not again, head and shoulders patterns. It doesn't. Sometimes they can be perfect looking and they don't work. Sometimes they could be abstract like this, but it's just to kind of give you a sense of, maybe some kind of slanted support here. And notice as well, like how extended we are above this week's value area. So I wouldn't be surprised, and I would actually welcome it at this point. One of the things that I think sometimes younger traders, a little bit more inexperienced traders, no offense, is that they don't want to see volatility, or they don't want to see a dip. They don't want to see the market come down. But if you're a little bit more experienced, that it's sometimes a good thing, right? It gets the complacency out of the market, right? It gets that bubbly sediment that's been in the market the last couple of days. It gets that to kind of wash through a little bit. So I would actually welcome, and I haven't, I flirted with putting on like a new swing trade yesterday, and I don't want to add risk here, being that so many things have just basically gone ballistic to the upside. So I would welcome, a kind of move back, or some type of, I'm not saying that we have to go all the way down here, but you could play this to the short side if you like too. If that happens, or if you're still long positions, you could put on a position in SQQQ, because I would be very wary that if this breaks, I don't really see much, that would give us, looks like there's a VPOC that was taken out here on the 5 minute. So that's something else to watch too. So all I'm doing here, guys, is just being a bit prepared that, we could see a move down. And again, I would welcome it, because I think a lot of things have stretched to the upside. I think the other thing that's going to be really interesting today is some of these earnings reports. Salesforce, CrowdStrike, Okta are going to report. I think most of them after the close today. So I think that's going to be very telling for the software group and some other areas. I'll leave it up to you guys. Do you guys have any names that you want me to cover with about 5 minutes to the open? I have some things that I'm watching, but we have a couple names that reported earnings that mostly down. HPE is down 10%. That name did see call buying into the, again, nobody ever says anything when call buying doesn't work. They just act like it never happened. But yes, there was call buying yesterday in HPE going into those numbers. Again, I don't really value call activity the day of the report as that meaningful. Yeah, AAP is down 30%. I mean, that's a big move down. Advanced Auto Parts, you can see it right on the top line here, suffers record plunge after big profit miss. AMBA, which has not been a good name on earnings, that name is down decently. AI is down 6%. You know, that thing really ran up, and so I was really surprised towards the end of the day yesterday. Yeah, it's going to bring down, I think, all the auto part names. GPC, you can see, is down 6% on that, genuine parts. So again, that's kind of the down moves today are kind of peppered with some of those auto part names. Let me just I forgot to bring up one thing here, guys. See if I get this. Forgot to bring up my watch list for the day. Don't even have that open yet. That's not being prepared. You know, and I definitely added to some names to so let me take this out. That's Nvidia's gone. Looks like that was a decent sell yesterday. But again, I'm not really holding much here. I'll get out of the last piece of CrowdStrike. They had some news this morning that they're teaming up with Amazon. So I'm going to sell that here probably in the first hour of the day. I don't need to, you know, hold that last portion. I'll definitely be watching Tesla. I don't mind adding Tesla a little bit lower at this point, but really, like, Tesla has to get through 205. You know, it still has a decent hurdle to get through, right? And that comes on the weekly chart. Definitely watching that. And watch list, this AIRS saw some call buying yesterday, right? Again, highly speculative name, had good earnings, and I would watch what it does here. Airlines would be great. Do you have a favorite for today? I don't really trade the airlines. They're just too difficult. So and it's you know, so American Airlines did report earnings. They're up a little bit. But if you look through these charts, you know, I like nice uptrends. Most of these look like sideways. Probably if I had to pick one that I like, it's probably if I had to pick one, it would be United. But again, look at this chart for the last year, it's gone sideways. Very, very difficult airlines. I just don't really think there's a major point, you know, other than for like a day trade. Yes, you could trade this versus 48. There's a VPOC up here to 52, but I don't know, anybody else agree? Right, very, very difficult. FLNC, sure, happy to go over that one. Just too, you know, if a group is too difficult, I avoid it. Good for, yeah, good for maybe fading rallies. Fluence Energy is at around the top of the range here on the daily chart. Watch to see, I guess, to see if it can get over this 25.15. Note it hesitated there yesterday. So again, not really coming out. I'm not really giving too much of a long watch list. You know, I'm welcoming a move a little bit lower. And again, I may not be right with that assessment, that we go lower here in the short term, but I'm definitely watching. And then some other things too, like I'm still waiting for some of these names. You know, I know that there's a big rotation out of healthcare, but I think Cardinal Health is interesting, you know, checking all the way back to the top of value and to the 50-day moving average. So I'm beginning to kind of watch things like this. Again, it's not exciting. It's not AI. It's not tech, but these names are pretty quality, and I might want to get involved in names that correct decently, still back to the 50-day moving average. All right. Boeing's another name that did see open interest climb, but no follow through from that. That's the opening bell, guys. So we'll see how it goes. I do see crude coming back here a little bit. But guys, have a great day. Good luck, and I'll see you in Slack. Remember, it's the last trading day of the month.